Hey everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you. If you guys remember, a couple weeks back I did an unboxing of this knife, the Spyderco Watu, and I thought I would go ahead and do my full review on it since I've already had a chance to use this knife, as everyday carry piece. And I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on this knife. So, one of the things about this knife that's kind of interesting is that it is the same exact size as a Spyderco Delica. I wish I had a Delica, but I don't. I don't own one of those knives. So basically, I got this knife as sort of like a South African version of the Delica, in a way. This knife is actually a rework of another knife that they released, I believe, in 2017, which I actually have. It's called the Chokeway. And the Chokeway means... Actually, the Chokeway is actually the name of a tribe, I believe, in central South Africa that the knife is named after. Watu, on the other hand, means the people. And so basically, this knife became this knife. They kind of enhanced the knife, and supposedly they made it a better knife. So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on in this video. So let's go ahead and go over what I think about this knife. First of all, this is an excellent knife overall. As far as ergonomics are concerned, I really love the blade shape on this one. It's supposed to be more like the Chokeway, where it has more of a Wharncliffe style blade look, and the Wharncliffe style blade on the Chokeway, design-wise, is much more effective just because it's a larger blade. As you can see, the blade actually goes sort of a straight line all the way almost to the end of the knife until you reach about here on the blade where it curves up and it looks like a clip point. So there's more Wharncliffe design in the larger version of this knife, the Watu. Of the Watu than it is on the Chokeway. So basically they kept the same blade shape. I'll put this away for a second. They kept the same blade shape on the Watu, but because the knife is smaller now, half the size, actually, of the Chokeway, the Wharncliffe style is less effective, at least in my opinion, because the point where it stops being a Wharncliffe style blade is right about here. So you're looking at maybe this much, maybe 2 inches worth of 2 inches worth of Wharncliffe style blade until it becomes more like a clip point at this point over here, which you got about ½ inch on the Watu for the blade. So it's like Wharncliffe style over here, and then over here it's like a clip point. I found it from using both knives, the larger knife and the smaller knife. I was actually able to make more effective cuts with the Chokeway just because the blade was longer. I mean, the idea behind the Wharncliffe style blade is that you're getting an effective straight down cut with the same consistent pressure. You don't have to worry about angling your hand or anything when you're cutting on a Wharncliffe style blade because it's just a straight cut all the way. Whether you're cutting on the tip, the middle, or the end, you don't have to, move your hand in any way to keep the same consistent cut on whatever it is that you're cutting. On the Chokeway, on the Watu, on the Watu, I found myself kind of, because the objects that I was cutting was actually, a much larger item, I found myself, kind of having to maneuver my hand a little bit just to make sure that I'm cutting all the way in that same consistency that I wanted to when I was using the Chokeway. So that's one slight difference there. So the blade size in this knife definitely made a difference. But then again, even though you could use this for heavy use if you wanted to, because the steel on this knife, that was one thing I also wanted to get through. The steel on the original chokeway version of the knife is S30V, which is really a very good steel, but it is not a super steel, which is, you know, because the CV20 actually mimics M390, which also mimics 204P. They're all essentially the same steel. All three are essentially the same steel, with the exception of a few minor adjustments, I believe, in the corrosion resistance and some other elements. But other than that, if you looked up at the chart, you will begin to see that all three steels are exactly the same. CV20 is a super steel, so it has excellent corrosion resistance. It will hold an edge for a really, really long time. In fact, I haven't even sharpened it yet, and I've cut quite a few boxes with this. I've cut some rope. It cuts rope very, very well. Actually, even much easier with this knife, the Watu, than the older version of the knife, the chokeway, just because, you know, you're holding the rope, and ergonomically, to cut smaller items, you know, this would be the knife that I would go for. But in both cases, cutting ability was just absolutely great. Couple of things I did to this knife that I absolutely love. I love the fact that there is carbon fiber on both sides of the knife. Keep this in mind, though, it's not a full slab of carbon fiber. I'm going to try and hold the camera up a little bit so you guys can see. The limitation of the carbon fiber, if you can look at my fingernail, kind of ends like right about there, and then underneath that is a much thicker slab of G10. So you want to keep that in mind when you're, you know, when you're using the knife. So there is carbon fiber on it, but underneath it, there's a thicker slab of G10 on both sides of the knife. The liners on the knife are skeletonized, making this knife a very, very lightweight knife. The carbon fiber, obviously, they could have gone all titanium on this piece, but just cutting out half of the titanium to make room for the G10 and slash carbon fiber does make the knife incredibly light. Secondly, one of the enhancements on the knife that they made was they, unlike the chokeway, which is a frame lock knife, with the Watu, they added the compression lock, which is a great lock and probably the strongest lock ever made on knives. One of the great advantages of the compression lock is that you don't ever have to get your hand in front of the blade at all. Unlike unlike a frame lock where you have to kind of keep your hand, you know, push your thumb over, and then accidentally, you never know what can happen. You might accidentally cut your hand there. So obviously, the compression lock, for safety reasons, it's a much better lock. Not only that, but it's a much stronger lock than the frame lock. However, talking about the compression lock, this is the funny thing about the compression lock, at least in my own personal experience. This is my first compression lock, okay? Anybody out there that's never had a compression lock, I wouldn't consider getting this knife as your first compression lock. I'm going to show you why. Check this out. When you do a compression lock, the idea is to bend this little bar here, right? So basically, a lot of people think it's just a liner lock on the back of a knife, but actually it's not. It's actually a much stronger lock. But in any case, what happens is when you use a compression lock, you push this down, the blade falls, right? It's supposed to close all the way, right? But watch what happens when I try and do this. See, my finger, if I hold up the camera, you can see this little butt part of the back of the blade hits my finger, the tip of my finger, when I'm closing it. So what happens is I open it, and the blade only closes about this much. I actually have to take my finger out of the way and then close it. So that kind of sucked for a while. But you can get around that. You can maneuver it so that it operates the way that you want to. That was one of the things. You can kind of look at it as maybe a negative or a positive if you're a knife fan. You know, you get to play with the knife and figure out a way to do something, which I did. So on this knife, what I did was I figured out a way to hold the knife, have the knife close all the way. Basically, it's a little bit difficult because you have to have some strength in your index finger to do this. But basically, you're going to have to do the compression lock a little further back, not up at the top here, See where my hand is? But a little bit more towards the back. And you have to time it right so that the knife will fall exactly as you close. I still can't do it every time, but you know, now that I'm used to it, see, I can do it. I actually take my finger off of it quick enough that it closes all the way. But on a normal compression lock, you should be able to leave your finger there, right? And then just close the blade. So that was kind of the downer. But like I said, you know, you figure things out when you own knives. And, you know, obviously with the Watu, you're going to have to relearn how to do the compression lock, specifically just for this knife. I don't know if anybody out there is into knife flicking or finds that kind of fun, but I do. So I thought that was kind of a, for me, it was a plus. Maybe for you guys, it might not be. See, and I still can't even do it all the time, but there you go. It closes all the way. There you go. So if you time it correctly, the knife will close all the way. A little oil will help it close, you know, go down a little bit. You don't want to put too much oil. But a couple of drops of oil in the washers. The knife is a washer knife, by the way. It does not run on ball bearings. I don't believe they have any compression locks that run on ball bearings. I might be wrong. Somebody could comment on my channel. Let me know if that's true or not. But, yeah. The knife does have that flaw on the Watu, so that you're not getting the full experience out of the compression lock without some thought process going on. So I don't know if that's a plus or a minus for you guys, but you know, for me, it's kind of a plus because I could do this all day long with the compression lock, right? That's why everybody owns compression locks, so that you can do that all day long. The ergos on this knife are absolutely fantastic. I love the way this feels in my hand when I'm holding the knife, and especially if I want to get a good tight grip on it. The fact that there's no jimping on the blade, that's a plus. Sometimes knife companies have jimping on their knives, and it's, you know, it kind of adds a little abrasiveness to your thumb, so when you're cutting something heavy, maybe a really heavy box, some really heavy-duty rope, you know, having that abrasiveness on your thumb when you're cutting, you might not necessarily want that. So the CV20 steel, anything I put on it pretty much cuts like butter. There was no stopping in the cutting process. Everything cut absolutely fantastic. The knife is razor sharp. I wish I had some paper. I don't have any. But yeah, the knife is razor sharp all the way. I do like the way that the knife has a very kind of a thick stock up at the top, and then it goes down to sort of this real quick sort of thin point to it. The whole idea behind this, I think, is fantastic. Is, you know, you can actually hold it and do something delicate with it if you need to do some, maybe get a splinter out or something. I don't know, whatever. You know, you can do delicate cuts with this. It doesn't have to be all super heavy, you know, on that. So I thought that was amazingly well done. Another thing I love about the knife is how open of an open construction it is. The knife only has like two standoffs at the end, and it's just a completely open construction, making the knife really very, very light in your hand. The fact that they used a wire clip was beautiful, because that's probably the best clip that Spyderco makes, that wire clip. Surprised they don't make it in different colors though, you know. But, yeah, the wire clip was absolutely fantastic. It is a deep pocket wire clip, so when you put this in your pocket, all that you show on the knife is maybe just the tip of the top of the knife there. Aesthetically, this knife is incredibly pleasing. There's something about the angles on this knife that make it look really just aesthetically beautiful, in my opinion. You've got all these square, rectangular angles on it, and then underneath it, they kind of put this curve for your hand. So I kind of like that. They really did some serious thought on the ergonomics on this, because it is very, very comfortable to do this. As far as opening the knife, ambidextrous, right? If you're into using the thumb flick, you can thumb flick this knife very easily. If you're going to get it, you could do that. You can also do the middle finger flick if you wish. You also don't even have to use any flick because of the compression lock. Close, open, close, open. I love that. You can do that with either hand. The only thing is, even though it's an ambidextrous knife, as far as the ergonomics on it, obviously you can take the it's a two-way pocket clip, so you can take the pocket clip on this side of the knife and flip it over to the show side. So now that it's a left-handed knife, my only concern with this knife is the compression lock. I don't know how you would operate the compression lock if you're left-handed. That's one of the things that I kind of was thinking about today. You know, it's a good thing I'm a right-handed guy, because if I was left-handed, I don't think I could do the compression lock in a comfortable manner. I mean, I don't have any way of holding the knife with my index finger, getting that good grip on it. I mean, all you have is your thumb, so I really don't know how even left-handed people could use a compression lock. If they're left-handed, they might have to, I don't know, maybe they might have to probably switch hands during this process. I don't know, but that's not really a fault of the knife. I don't think. I mean, you know, you need, there's no way to make a two-way compression lock on the knife, so not quite sure how that works. The aesthetics on the holes in the knife work really, really well. I love the way that it looks. You can see right through the knife, all the way through the knife. Unlike the Spyderco chokeway, where you've got the horrible Spyderco pocket clip covering up the hole, so you don't really enjoy the two holes that are open. And, you know, they should have probably had the wire clip on this one as well, but they did not. So, but, you know, either way, you know, the design aesthetically is more beneficial on the Watu than it is on the chokeway, just because of that small enhancement of using the wire clip as opposed to the general Spyderco pocket clip that they have on many of their other folders, and like I did on the chokeway. Some final thoughts on this. Obviously, to sum up everything, the cutting is amazing. The blade shape is really well done, although I think, you know, 3.2 was too small. They probably should have gone with maybe 3.3 or maybe even 3.4 on this instead of just a 3.2 inch. The compression lock, again, it's a learning curve. You're going to have to learn how to do the compression lock with this piece, just because this end of the knife will hit your finger. You know, if you're not like, you know, if you wanted to close it, you wouldn't be able to get that. So that's kind of a downer. That's one thing I think that they should work on, is designing the knife so that doesn't do that anymore. But in the meantime, yeah, you will have to relearn how to do the compression lock. I do love the open construction on the knife with only just two standoffs and the one standoff for the pocket clip. That makes it even more attractive. The lightness of the knife is always a plus. For me, there's something about owning a heavy-duty knife with just a very light, in a light package, I guess. That's kind of a plus. So overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this knife about an 8 overall. I wish I had a Delica to compare it to, but I'm pretty sure it ranks right up there with the Delica. Like I said, because this is a part of their ethnic series. A lot of the Spyderco's ethnic series seems to get pushed under the ground. Nobody ever even, you know, they introduced the knife that year from the ethnic series, and then they introduced it to quite a few people. Maybe a small percentage of people might buy this knife, and they don't really ever get around to doing a review on it, or nobody ever hears about it ever again. And I think that that's kind of a shame, because they really did do a lot of work between the old version of the knife, the chokeway, and now it's, you know, the more newer version of the knife, the Watu. I do, however, believe they should have made the Watu maybe slightly larger. I think at least they should have done it at least a 3.4 inch knife rather than the 3.2, because you're not really getting the full advantage of the worn clip part of the blade. So anybody that's actually owned the chokeway, you're going to notice that difference right off the bat when you're cutting with it. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark guy, giving you the full review on the Watu. I forgot to also mention, this knife is supposed to be a complete improvement on this knife right here, the chokeway. So some final thoughts. In general, they did accomplish what they wanted to do. This is a way better knife ergonomically. It's a way better knife as far as cutting ability and the choice of steel. You know, but they kind of left a few things out on that, especially the compression lock. I have to keep going back to that because if you're a compression lock person and you're using the knife and you get that and you can't close it because of this point on the end, I mean, you might get kind of pissed off. You might actually wind up returning the knife just because ergonomically it doesn't do what you want it to do as it should do on all your other compression lock knives. This is definitely a different compression lock knife altogether. So that's one. And here's my point also. On the chokeway, when everybody first got the chokeway, because this is titanium rubbing up against titanium, the knife had some serious lock stick. I'll explain why I'm mentioning this. The knife had some serious lock stick, so people were complaining about that. I got rid of the lock stick simply by just cleaning the knife. But yeah, when people got the chokeway, they were complaining about the lock stick and how bad it was. But then when they switched it over to the Watu, they replaced one like huge hiccup with another huge hiccup. So this one had the what do you call it, the lock stick problem, right? But now the Watu has this problem with the back of the blade. So basically they just replaced one problem with another one. Which one are you more annoyed by? Lock stick, right? Or the fact that you can't do the compression lock the way you want to do it. It's up to you however you want to see it. I just thought that was kind of funny. That's why I wanted to mention that last. That they made one problem go away with the lock stick, right? But then they added another one on the supposedly improved version of the knife. So it depends on how you guys want to look at it. Myself being a knife collector, I had to have both versions of the knife, and I'm glad I have both versions of the knife. Both these versions are going to stay in my knife drawer, in my knife collection, where I will be using them on occasion. This knife has been fairly used quite well, and so has this one now. So, but yeah, both of these are good choices. I hope this video has helped you. Just keep in mind, lock stick, compression lock challenged, right? So this is Omar, the Knife Shark guy, signing off, giving you my quick rundown of the Spyderco Watu. For the most part, it's a great knife. Just just pretty much try and, work around this, so you don't want to return it. I'm sure those of you guys that have bought the knife probably have returned it for that reason, especially if you're a knife flicker. So this is Omar, the Knife Shark guy, signing off, hoping you'll find one of these two guys in your knife drawer someday. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please comment on my channel on any of my videos. I've got more videos coming, and I have another fun surprise for you coming in about a week. I got a new knife. I'm not going to say what it is, but it is. I will say this, however, it is a discontinued knife. I'm very sorry. But, keep in mind, this is a knife collector's channel. So if I see something and I like it, I got to have it. I don't know what else I could tell you. This is Omar once again signing off, saying I hope you'll find the Watu to be a very useful and fantastic artistic tool. I did. I love it. I hope you'll pick it up and maybe you'll learn how to do that like I did. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a great evening. Stay safe, and thanks so much.